Welcome, Wargamers. Join your hosts, Bonko and Monty, two Canadian wargaming enthusiasts, as we explore all aspects of tabletop wargaming. We roll dice, talk tactics, share hobby hacks, and explore new tabletop systems, all on the Trident Wargaming podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back. Trident Wargaming. We've got another 40K podcast here for you. I'm joined with Arthur from Charging from Deepstrike Studios.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So Arthur was on the podcast there a little while back. We were talking about 40K action, upcoming events and stuff. Some of these events have actually gone down now. Recently, we started dabbling in 40K, waiting for some systems to update, but more on that later. Arthur, I guess just start things off on the hobby front.
Yeah, you know what? Last time we were talking about our future pointy-eared overlords. I was very excited.
Yeah.
Because Eldar were on the horizon, and the horizon was looking pretty good. All of the leaks, all of the playtests that came out, the codex that you could see, everything was pointing to another year of pointy-eared overlords. And I have been pumping out the nicest army I have ever painted in like this. It's all scale 75. There's no metallics at all. If there's any metallic looking thing, it's all been non-metal metallics. And I'm about 60% done, like a tournament list for some of the upcoming events. But I have so much in the backlog, and like my hobby ADHD is kicking me in the pants. I want to start 30K. I want to start another 40K. I want to do other projects.
That's what it's all about.
But we got to get, this Eldar focused and done. I want more than a list. I want to be able to have some diversity to kind of adapt. So it's going well. And I'll throw some pictures here your way that we can share.
Definitely.
For anyone who wants to take a look.
Definitely. I've had the pleasure of seeing some of Arthur's units all painted up at the club, and they are looking pretty legit, I have to admit. So
the plan right now is to get everything done, and then I started some freehand on some stuff, and I want to be able to put that into everything as well. And I got the idea for this freehand from this Instagram account, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I'll find it and I'll plug it. And he had just done some amazing stuff that looks great on jet bikes, and I wanted to emulate that, and I did, and it worked out great. But I think the biggest trick this time around is the different paints. Citadel paints are great, but this is my first time not using any, trying entirely other brands, and there's a lot of different stuff you can do with slightly different paint formulas.
it's true.
So if there's anyone out there that's never tried to try different types of paint, anything like that, I would definitely recommend giving that a go.
It's true.
Because even yourself, you got that hobby hack where you like to use those gold markers, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. For the Titanicus trim, they are a lifesaver. It's the Liquidex paint pen. Highly recommend. So you're not in trim hell.
Now you actually just swapped off scale 75.
I did.
You decided to go a different route.
I did. They were finicky, I guess, to say the least, for what I was trying to do with the airbrush. And I also have I bought the top tier Kickstarter from Duncan Rhodes when he was dropping the Two Thin Coats Kickstarter. So that's supposed to be shipping in the next month, and that's the whole range, all the paints and technicals and stuff. So all in dropper bottle forms, and I was just yeah. With more coming in, I figured it was time to pass off the scale 75. So
I'm kind of excited to see this Tooth and Codes. It looks like your everyday range of 60 paints, right?
Yeah.
A few of each color, so you can blend and highlight and layer. They're acrylic based, I assume.
They are, yeah.
And are they're kind of like the Citadel kind? They're not speed paints, right?
No, they're not speed paints. They're probably very comparable in between G-Dub and that Model Air, I'm gonna say.
Gotcha. Well, I'm looking at them right now, and even as I look at some of the colors, I can definitely pick out. Oh yeah, that's Corn Red, that's Blood Angels Red, or whatever it's called. That's Moot Green. The purples look exactly like Nagaroth, Xenos, and the Genestealer Cult one. It looks like kind of a ripoff of Citadel paintings.
Very, very much so. And that's, I won't lie, that's kind of my wheelhouse. I've been a G-Dub kid for 25 years. So I've always pretty much used their stuff. I have some Vallejo stuff, a little model air game color, but for the most part, it's mostly been G-Dub.
Oh, and some of this is some old callbacks to GW paint, like their silver highlight is called Mithril, and I think that's
Silver.
what back when they were in those there was black. Were they screw-on pots back then?
They were the beginning of a. It was just the beginning of their flip up with the black cap screw-ons. That was right when kind of Mithril was around.
The hexagon shape or whatever. There's some really nice paints in here. I'll have to come check those out.
Oh, for sure.
But I think one of the biggest things we want to talk about, other than hobby, was like ongoing current Games Workshop stuff.
It's true. It's true.
Something big happened this week, Bill. What happened?
Well, the balanced data slate came out, and it was awesome.
So,
it was
being that
damn awesome,
you are, you're a wargaming veteran, but you don't know everything there is about current 9th edition.
No.
Like, I couldn't throw a codex at you, and you couldn't tell me, like, oh, these are the most common builds like that. So, from someone that's coming into it with your experience, what does this balance update mean to you?
Overall, kind of taking a peek at what some of the stuff that's listed on there, over the couple games like I've played of 9th, it seems like a step in the right direction for Marines anyways. I'll talk briefly on that because that's kind of what I know. With that Armor of Contempt, it does make them feel more durable, like the fluff, if that makes sense. I still think there might be a little bit of an issue with damage output, but that's just my personal opinion based on 3 games of 9th so far. So take that with a little grain of salt. But overall, it seemed like a decent hit for everybody. I keep getting tired of seeing Dark Eldar on there. It does hurt my soul a little bit every time I, see them on the balance sheet. I was just like, oh, what else are they taking out of the book? But
so if you don't know, this isn't new changes. This is just the old changes carried over.
Oh, it's just more. Oh, okay.
So it's nothing new. Like anything on there is stuff they'd already changed.
Now it's just like official in a pack kind of thing.
Yeah, so they never took it off. The only thing actually that changed is on the last one, Knights got some updates into, like, they give the big dudes OBSEC, I think, and the little dudes they counted as the amount of models or as like 5 or 10 or something like that. Or maybe I have that backwards.
Okay.
But that actually got removed, and they said it's because there's a new Knight Codex coming out. So anyone who's an avid Knight player, until that Codex comes out, they got fucked. But let me tell you what the most exciting part about this. When you were growing up, did you play Halo?
I never played Halo 1, but I did start playing at Halo 3.
All right, now who's the main character of Halo?
It's Chief, man.
It's the Master Chief.
Master Chief.
And like, what's fucking special about the Master Chief? What's his whole deal?
He's the man.
He's the man.
He's
and
the one.
He wears a suit of Spartan armor.
Spartan power armor.
He's a one-man army, right? He fucking walks in. He doesn't stop. If he's playing a video game, he's just pressing W the entire time, and he just annihilates everything as incoming bolts and everything kind of bounces off his armor.
It's true.
I don't know which Halo game it was, but he literally jumped from space, fell, and lived. They just had to boot him up.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that. I can't remember what one that was, but yeah, they find him in the ground, all locked and hanging out.
He was sick. He was the best. He was kick-ass. Now, you played Doom as a kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
What's fucking cool about the Doom Marine?
Same thing. Only Same one. Thing. He's just a badass in power armor and killing demons.
Right. Okay. Now, did you by chance watch the show The Expanse?
The Expanse, I've dabbled only briefly. I've told it is legit. I have not jumped in yet.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah, it's good. And, there's essentially this war between Earth and Mars at some point in time. And the Martians, they got some more kick-ass technology, and they suit up their Martian Marines in this power armor. And there's a scene where this one chick just walks out into space. She's like, using her mag boots on Hull, and some people try to ambush her. They're trying to like pirate her ship, and bullets just bounce off her as she like, walks at her full relentlessly, spinning her Gatling gun. She fucks everything up. She's great.
Awesome.
So all these things in common is that like there's this I don't know, this amazing thing about power armor. And when we talk about Warhammer 40k, the first army everyone gets into and falls in love with is almost always Space Marines.
It's true.
And when you read the fluff, they slap their bolters to their thigh, they run it, oncoming gunfire as Marines around them are torn to shreds by heavy bolters, and Marines don't care, right? Guardsmen are blowing up beside them, and they're just walking through it. They don't know any fear. They're literal walking gods. And the game does not resemble that.
No.
Games Workshop did something really cool with 9th edition. They brought out every single codex, and they really tried to make every single unit in every codex have value. So like prior, you might have 2 fighting units, like take Eldar for example. You'd have Striking Scorpions and you'd have Banshees. And in the last codex, I think Banshees had 2 attacks, and while they had some AP on their swords, they didn't really have a role and they weren't really kick-ass. But now, Banshees are a dedicated anti-infantry heavy armor killer, and Striking Scorpions are the opposite. They're the they have a bunch of little attacks. And every codex kind of resembles that, where everything is awesome. Now, the downside of that is that there's been a proliferation of armor piercing. Because for something to feel awesome, it has to have at least AP1. And the downside, ultimately, is that power armor doesn't feel awesome.
No. No.
Because you've played a few games in 9th. You played power armor, and what does it feel like?
Prior to that Armor of Contempt, it feels very much like tissue paper. Most stuff is AP like -1. There's a lot of -2 damage stuff out there. So when you're just rolling 3s and Primaris Marines are just flying off the table, that definitely hurts quite a bit.
And it doesn't feel like you're playing Marines. Now, you also play a lot of Horus Heresy. You played 7th and 6th. And like Marines used to be famously frustrating because they're rolling their 3-ups.
Yeah. And
they don't do that anymore. I did get to play a game, 2 games actually, with Armor of Contempt, and it was against Thousand Suns. Now, if you don't know Thousand Suns, their gimmick is a rule called All is Dust. And anything that's not 2 damage or multi-damage, more than 1 damage, they get +1 armor save against. So, a Thousand Suns Terminator has a 2-up armor save. Now, if I'm shooting a -2 gun at him, that only does 1 damage, he effectively has a 1-up armor save. If he's in cover, he has a 0 armor save. So I do -2, that still takes him to a 2-up. Now, if I do a -3 attack, like some of the heaviest stuff, this Armor of Contempt still triggers on top of that, and they're still rolling 2-ups.
It's true.
And so kind of for the first time, and Thousand Suns is an extreme example because of the All is Dust rule that also has cover into it. But power armor actually feels like power armor. My opponent had some rubrics and some Thousand Suns, and they just weren't failing saves as they walked towards me, killing everything in their path. And as much as I was like, damn, I'm pretty sure Fire Dragons should have killed that. That's fucking sick, and I want to play Marines.
Yeah. Yeah, Marines, when I read that Armor of Contempt, I immediately was thinking Redemptor and my Terminators. Terminators, I think, will feel like Terminators again.
Right, hard to kill unless you have the dedicated thing to kill them.
Hard to kill, and great for holding objectives, spitting out with heavy bolters. I'm obviously, being a big Heresy player, I'm always sitting on Heresy pattern Terminator armor. And yeah, I've got a squad of Cataphracti with the Pop Goes Monkey Executioner add-ons for the shoulders and whatnot. So they're looking extra bulky, and I'm probably going to get them painted into an actual list. It's nice to have a drop.
And they're gonna be fucking great right now with that. The other part of that is actually with the way the cover system works now, and this Armor of Contempt, Marines in cover, they don't move. I think there's going to be a lot more value in, things that ignore cover. Things that prevent cover from happening. I think that there's going to be value in that.
It's +1 for Imperial Fists. Yes.
Now, unfortunately, I think that this is a band-aid fix on a broken solution. There has to be a better way to make all of your dudes feel special, but also, what about someone who has like, and I hate to use the example of Eldar because everyone hates on it, but striking scorpions and fire dragons, they have heavy aspect armor, and those eventually give them power armor. And they're obviously not as armored as Space Marines, but they're gonna have the same problem as this, is they're never gonna get to roll 3-ups. Uh, so I think this is just a band-aid, and this doesn't even count is if there's other units that aren't either Chaos Space Marines, regular Space Marines, or Adeptus Sororitas that wear power armor for some reason, they don't get that benefit.
I was reading some of that stuff. I guess the fallen guys are kind of sad because they don't get either, and then Custodes obviously missed the boat on this one too.
Which is, kind of goofy. Custodes seems like they should get it, but I mean, if Custodes got it, maybe they'd be too powerful.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I am starting to wonder if the old armor system of all or nothing was better. Because it created dedicated roles. You had units that had AP3, and those were Marine killers.
Yeah.
You had units that were AP2, and those were special. And the AP2 and AP1 shots had bonuses against heavy armor tanks, which is what you wanted, right?
It's true. It's true. With Heresy, that's still very much the case, and it does feel nice. Like, Marines operate a little bit differently in Heresy, although most of them, believe it or not, with the rumored 2.0, are going to be popping up with 2 wounds for most of the units, which is going to be nice. Some still have 1 wound, but my 20-man blob squads in the game, of just power armor Marines with an apothecary, feel very durable compared to a lot of the 40k Primaris stuff that I'm running. So it's interesting to see how the changes from system to system are.
Right.
And -1 does a lot.
-1 does a lot. You're not rolling power armor anymore.
No.
I find myself missing some of the core rules of 7th. Just things like vehicle facings. You know what? Maybe even armor value. Have you play occasionally Horus Heresy still?
Yeah.
You'd have more experience. Like, do you miss armor value on vehicles or hull points, or is that a system that's better gone? Because I'm looking with nostalgia glasses.
Armor value is nice. It makes very heavy tanks feel like heavy tanks. In the rumors for 9th, Dreadnoughts and Leviathans have gone to a toughness wound system, very much like 9th is, where they more or less operate as like monstrous creatures now, which I think plays a lot to their benefit because they are a lot more durable and can do a lot more damage versus getting one-shotted by that combi melta. Right, and
Dreadnoughts kind of are like monstrous creatures, really.
They are, absolutely. When you're comparing them to Battle Automata in the game, or even Thanatars that the Mechanicum get, it's the same thing. Leviathans and Dreadnoughts should have toughness and wounds like they're getting. It just makes sense. So that's one of the biggest bonuses. I think the tanks are good sticking with armor value, though. And facings and whatnot, because I won't lie, some of the mechanics for 9th, right, are a little kind of crazy. You got the ass end of your repulsor sticking out, and the
Centana can see you, so
every gun can fire at you, right? Which, like, don't get me wrong, in 7th, like, orcs were like that with their open top vehicles. If you could draw line of sight from any point of the vehicle, you could fire, which, okay, that's fine, but an orc truck is not a repulsor. The repulsor is insane. It's got like 6 different guns. You're rolling probably close to 30 dice, just rattling off shots, and it's obscene. So I would like to see the vehicles, big tanks, stay armor with wounds, with hull points. But wounds toughness, it's cool. It's a different system. It's a different way to play, so it shakes it up a little bit.
I want to talk more about Horus Heresy after. We're kind of getting on that topic.
Yes.
Do they still use the old wound chart where if you have 2 more strength than someone's toughness, you get 2+ to wound?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay. I was wondering about that too, if that was a better system or not. I think that the wound system now for ninth is an improvement.
I would like to say it is as well. We were talking where ninth has very much a easier system to know your math, where in the new Heresy and stuff, and even current, it uses that old to hit and to wound chart, where
Right.
I really like the direction GW's are going with the current games, such as Ninth and Titanicus, where it's a base roll. Your guys hit on 3s, doesn't matter, it's 3s, it's 3s, it's 3s. Right? Like, that's just what it is. Versus I'm, weapon skill 4, tier 3, or tier 5, and oh man, like, it's faster, it's just easier, especially for new players coming in. You don't have to remember this chart, right? Like, which, don't get me wrong, it happens quickly because you're using it
every fucking phase.
60% of every phase, right? Like, it's just happening, but it would be easier or nicer for players in a whole if it went away and it was just flat numbers.
And one of the things I think Games Workshop has done over the years is make some things that are player friendly a better game experience. Not all the time, and sometimes they take too long to do it, probably because they want to sell things, and I don't fault them for that.
No, it's true.
But they did release this balance update, and this is not something they used to release facts, but never that were as consistent as this, as targeted as this.
Yeah.
And so they, as our podcast started off today talking about this fact, they had a couple things that are just fixing game mechanics, which was like kudos for them. The first was they got rid of a rule called bodyguard. Well, they changed it. Now the rule was if you were next to a unit that had the bodyguard special rule, so normally like your honor guard for characters, that you could not target your character at all. But people were abusing this. Like, you could chain Celestine and her 2 dinguses out like almost 9 inches from a bodyguard unit behind a wall, and so she could never be targeted, and they could never be targeted, and it created feel bad moments, and they got rid of that. So
which is
that's
awesome.
They also severely got rid of LOS, like non-LOS shooting. If you don't have LOS, you're taking a -1 to hit, and you get +1 saving throws. And I think that's going to hamper like some very serious non-LOS shooting. Because like when you think about people who have non-LOS shooting, you think of like Guard or like I guess Death Guard have 1 tank that do it. And I guess Tau.
I'm thinking Hive Guard for Tyranids, man. Like, that was their thing, firing like pretty much living ammunition, and now it seems like they're just kind of getting hooped out of that.
Well, Hive Guard did get fucked because Games Workshop wants you to buy different models for this edition.
No.
But they nerfed indirect. So those 2 mechanics, they really changed, and I think that's a good sign for the balance update, that they're willing to listen to find out, like, hey, people don't like this thing, let's change it. So that's good. Were you also familiar with the other changes, like the Custodes changes specifically?
No.
Have you been keeping track of like recent tournament wins or anything like that since the LVO maybe?
A little bit with LVO and stuff, but it's not as, what's the word I'm looking for? Dedicated, I guess, right? Like, if I kind of catch it in an article here and there, I'm like, oh, cool. Or I did watch like the LVO like final game, and it's like that's like a whole totally different game. Like, that's
right.
Cool to watch though, right? There's a lot of cool gameplay happening, and you can learn a lot from watching those guys, even a lot of the YouTube videos out there. So, but it's just I know there's a lot of ever evolving stuff happening. I just haven't been up to date on it.
Well, to keep it short, essentially, Custodes and Tau were kind of like the overpowering armies, and they had the newest books, other than Gene Stealer Cult. But at any time you look at any one of the lists that won, it was either like an Emperor's Chosen Good Stuff list, or some sort of Tau combination of crisis suits and indirect fire.
Yeah,
and both of those got some pretty severe nerfs. So again, Games Workshop saw that, like, hey, you know what, this is too oppressive, we're going to dial this down. And I think that's good. there is an argument somewhere that people are saying that because of the slow release schedule, if they left the armies as is, that it would be like War Machine, that everything would be broken enough that it would balance each other out. But I disagree with that. I think that would be more losses by turn 2, more people having feels bad moments. And I like that they are releasing codexes and then toning them down. I think that's something that's good.
It's good to have, I guess, reaction to that. Personally, I'd rather see a bit of a proactive approach on it, right? Like, I know, I haven't been buying hard into the game right now, but, when the Dark Elder Codex came out, or the, Jukari Codex came out, and then you had to buy that Warzone book with additional rules for the Jukari.
The day one DLC, yeah.
I was like, what the hell, man? Like, you're already paying $65 for a codex, and now I have to buy another $50 book. And I was like, that ain't cool, right? Like, or the book comes out, it's just red hot, it's got whatever obscene win rate it was, and I was like, that sounds awesome. It sounds like they're wicked, right? Like, very cool. But it just gets, like, everything gets addressed after, and it's just, I don't know. I question the playtesting and some of the rules before it hits production, because it seems to be very reactionary, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that, people say they're playtesting, and here's a hot take. I think that playtesting only exists as advertising. I think they have people who they call playtesters. They give them access to the books. Those people play the games. Even though they sign, NDAs, they still tell all their buddies, hey man, like, this is what you want to buy. And those people go out and they buy the models.
Yeah.
Which is why, if you're looking at some of the stuff, even before a codex comes out, it's sold out everywhere. I think that's all it is. And, you occasionally hear rumors of, like, the playtesters saying they didn't listen to our recommendations.
Yeah.
I don't think there ever really was any intention to playtest.
You never know. Never know, I guess.
Never know.
It's all I know is I'd like to be on that list to get the cool new stuff. I'll sign an NDA just so I can read it. Right? Like,
I'll sign an NDA today.
I'll do whatever you want. Yeah, just let me check out the cool shit. That's all
Give
I want
me
to
the
do.
Guerrilla Games miniatures where I can take your codex and I can have an awful 2-hour video every 3 weeks of me reading it on YouTube, where I can make money off the views. Where do I get that?
Yeah, I'd like.
I want that. All right. You mentioned that, like, playing those guys at the top tables is like a whole entirely different game.
Yeah.
So I've got a game for you. Let's play a game of Would You Rather.
Okay.
So here's the gimmick. It's for $1 million, but only if you win. So you want to take your best odds.
Ooh.
Okay. Do you know who Richard Siegler is?
Yes.
All right. So if you're listening and you don't know who Richard Siegler is, he is the most winning Warhammer player of all time. He is the Tiger Woods of Warhammer without the sex scandal. So, would you rather play Richard Siegler in 40K or fight Mike Tyson in boxing?
For $1 million?
For $1 million.
If I win.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with playing Richard in Warhammer, just because I can make dark pacts with the Chaos Gods and I could still come out on top. Where with Mike Tyson, I'm probably gonna die. He's gonna punch my head through my asshole and I'll probably die. So
he's old now, though. He's slow. You're young.
No,
you're fit.
no.
You've been working out.
So when you're in the heavyweight category, and I'm talking 200 plus, those fights can't last that long. Like, after 30 seconds, I guaranteed, trying to swing with Mike, I'd probably be gassed. And then he'd be gassed too, but his punches hit a lot harder than mine.
All right. I want to say I'm going to fight Mike Tyson.
Oh my.
Because I know I cannot beat Richard Siegler. There is no dice.
How
There's
do you
nothing
know?
else that's going on.
If he only rolled 1s and 2s, and you're like, bro, your dice suck. Here, roll mine too, man. And he's still rolling 1s and 2s, and you're like, the dice just were against you, bro.
I will never be good enough at this game to play at his level. I mean, I don't live in a house with 7 other Warhammer people. I don't professionally do it. It's unattainable.
Well,
I'm fighting Mike Tyson, and I'm hoping that Mike has had so many concussions that, like, one more punch is what does it.
Bold.
I'm
Oh.
hoping maybe I get to bite his ear off, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather
Go with God.
go with God?
That's all I say.
Would you rather play unbalanced ninth edition, so like the codexes as they were written, in all their glory, so you know Dark Eldar before nerfs, Tau before nerfs, unmitigated orc buggies, 9 Void Weavers, or 7th edition Death Stars? I'm talking the invisible conscript blob with space wolves and a whole bunch of other stuff, and the librarian conclave.
That whatever.
I'm talking
Heroic
the Screamer
32
Star.
bullshit, and yeah. Well, you know what? I'd probably
against your current Marines army for $1 million.
Yeah. I don't miss the shenanigans in 7th. We've had a fair share of that in Heresy as well. There are Death Stars, believe it or not, still, but I'd probably go with the broken 9th, man.
Okay.
Only because, okay, I've got my Marines, right? But I do have a full Dark Eldar army right over there.
Right over.
New on sprue, and I didn't buy it to be a bandwagon jumper. With if you are, cool, I don't care, and if you aren't, hey, props to you, I don't care. I've wanted to play him since 3rd, okay? I just never did. And when all the new models came out, and they're all in plastic, and combat patrols were dropping, I was like, wow, looks so cool. And then it was like 2 weeks of internet rage, of like so broke, you know, such wow. And then I was like, fuck, you know, I just kind of didn't want to play him because they were too hot, you know.
You don't want to be that guy.
I'm not that guy, yeah. So I just, you know, I'll wait for the book to cool a little bit, and now I'm with Marines. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna play the unbalanced nine stuff. Okay, so you're fighting Richard Siegler. You're playing against 9 Void Weavers. Okay.
Nice.
Last one. You can have 2 wounds for Chaos Space Marines, but you have to play against the up-and-coming Tyranids, who are supposed to be the most broken thing yet. Or you get the old 1 wound broke-ass bitch Chaos Space Marines, but you gotta play against, like, Dark Eldar at the start.
You know what? I'll go with my 2 wound Chaos Marines, because I feel that there still are good tools to use in the Codex. Chainlord's always fun. He's not as crazy as he used to be. I think because it's now exploding 6s instead of 5s, whatnot. Yep. But that's fine. There's little things, little tweaks. Abaddon is still a beast. Very cool. You know, I like my Chaos Marines. I have a soft spot for them. So I really think G-Dub, the man's been keeping us down, because a long time ago, I remember when the Chaos decks did drop and Chaos Space Marine players were like kicking ass. They were starting to win tournaments, and then Marines got another codex like shortly after, and it kind of flipped that balance of power. But Chaos players they're tactical. They've been getting the short end of the stick in Warhammer for so long because Games Workshop is afraid of that Chaos Codex, that 3.5 edition one that was like God mode, which we don't.
Oh, you're talking like 1998,
dude, the golden era. I've played against that book. It was gross. There was a lot of crazy shit that could happen, I remember, but we don't need that. We just need that light, and it'll be fine. Just give me a light version of that, right? Like really cool, flavorful stuff.
I'm gonna be really sad when Chaos Space Marines eventually get their second wound. And you know, they could have done it this last week in the balance update, but they didn't. They chose not to. I'm gonna be sad, but only because I won't be able to make memes about it anymore.
It's true. It's true. It is feeding the meme train.
And you know, I don't know what I'll poke fun at the Chaos players for then. I'm sure that directly after they get 2 wounds, Marines will get 3. And then we can laugh about that.
They already have 3. God damn it! Just play a Gravis army, which that's the thing too. It's obscene. You know, I keep looking at all these different builds, and I was like, So I'm running my executioners. I'm playing out of the Imperial Fist book, which, from everything I've read online, competitively, it's pretty much hot garbage.
Yeah, it's trash.
I don't see it as that because like my exploding sixes have been awesome. Ignoring cover, awesome. I've been throwing out tons of volume of firepower in the games I play, and I'm like, man, I've been rolling so many sixes. This is great, right? Like it's just seems to be working quite well. But I just gotta
the thing that they don't have
see.
that makes other armies good is army-wide 4-up invul.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you have that, you're good. Like think Crusher Stampede, the new Tyranids can do that with a Synaptic Imperative. Custodes, Tau have that because of drones. Like that army-wide 4-up invul that you can't have all this AP against. That's what makes a good army. And regular Space Marines, they don't have that. They can get that light with Black Templars and their Oath or whatever it's called. And that's why they're the best Space Marines, but
at that point though, like if everybody had a 4-up invul, that's like 50-50 rolls. Does it kind of do you feel like it would take something out of the game, something tactical? Because then it's just volume of fire.
Well, I think that that's what the game kind of is, and I think that it does take something out of it, and I think that you're right. It is volume of fire. That's why Tau has been so successful.
Yeah.
That is why the Void Weaver spam was so successful.
Imperial Fists were coming back.
If you're coming back. And if everything has a 4-up invul, again, I say, let's go back to the old AP system. If you want people to roll certain values for their armor, give them that armor. And let's dial down the AP. But that is another conversation.
Yeah.
You actually have mentioned, a few times now, you've played a few games in 9th.
Yep.
Let's chat about that for a sec. You've played what, like 6, 7?
No, like 4.
4. Okay. A couple games at the St. Albert Club, a couple games at your house.
Yep.
What's your spread? What have you gone up against?
I've fought Custodes, Black Templar, and that's pretty much it, I think. Oh, and Necrons. I have fought Necrons too.
Okay.
That's it.
So you fought some power armor, some extreme power armor, and then some undead robots that sometimes get back up.
Yeah.
What was the most fun out of those 3 things?
Most fun, I have to admit, playing other power armor, like playing the Black Templar, was a lot of fun. One of the most fun games that I had was the almost most recent game was against the Custodes. Believe it or not, they're
okay.
It was a game where I was rolling really hot. Isaac, being very gentle I was just kind of getting back to the 9th at the time. It's letting me kind of make some mistakes and not completely like crush me into the earth for it, where I got to kind of experience a little bit of each of my units of my army, and it was nice. But I was able to throw a lot of firepower, and I think it caught me a little bit by surprise. Like there was a lot of stuff. I would just focus on one unit until it died, and that was kind of from my 30k experience, right? Which Custodes, you just shoot at one squad until it is dead. Don't bounce around. You don't move. You kill it until it's dead. That's it. It's the only way. And it seemed to work. It was working out well. I was trying to delete a squad a turn, which felt decent against Custodes anyways.
And so selecting secondaries is new to you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because other games doesn't have that.
That was twisted shit, man.
How do you feel about that as a mechanic for the game? Because let's just consider before we get to that question, let's consider other types of Warhammer. There's always been a primary and a secondary types. And those have varied across the year, right? Sometimes they're scored end of game. Secondary has sometimes been First Blood, Slay the Warlord, or Linebreaker. Then the ITC released their rules, and they had this progressive scoring, and people seemed to like that because it wasn't just who can zip on to stop at the end of the game.
Yep.
Then they released another thing where you kind of got to pick secondaries based on what your army was good at. Now, it was never balanced, and it was always a horrific mess because some were obviously a better choice than others. And that has kind of led us to where we are now. Okay, so again, secondaries. Like them or hate them?
I like them.
There's a but here. But
Well, the but is for new players. It can be a bit of a mind twist to try and wrap your head around everything. I know a few of the guys when we started our slow grow 40k group. They immediately just jumped to the Tempest cards. You randomly draw. It's like the old tactical objectives, right? You got 3 in your hand.
yeah,
you
old
use them,
tacos. I love tacos.
burn them, pull another one. I was like, wow, that seems really easy. And then, Ted and I, we were playing legit secondaries, and there was a lot of action going on. It was my 3rd game using them, and I'm like, well, now I know Oath of Moment all the way. And he didn't take Oath of Moment that one game. And I questioned him. I was like, seriously, man? He's like, no, I don't think I need it. And after the game, he's like, yeah, I'm taking it forever. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of seems to be the way. But it's just, yeah, the secondaries add a lot to the decision making. Not only am I trying to play a mini game before the game even starts with the opponent, I'm trying to not give up all these secondaries as well. And it makes it very interesting. 40k kind of feels like I can play it by myself. I'm just setting up on the table with you, trying to weather the storm, and I'm just trying to I can build my army just to score. I don't actually have to really interact with you that much. I just have to score my own shit that I can do. And if you try and fuck with me and take away my scoring abilities or my secondaries, then that's how you can kind of interact with me. All the way to I can be in your face and just totally going relentless on the opponent, trying to score as many as you can too. It's got a really cool range of options, I think. So
yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. When Ninth first came out, I was playing a lot of Sisters, and at that time I was playing secondaries, engage on all fronts, so points just through being in corners. This is before it got changed. The original deploy scramblers, which was kind of like Knockman data, also not very interactive. And then I would take a third one, and I can't remember what it was, but it was equally fucking, I don't even need you. I'm just here I'm playing tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
And that felt bad. This non-interactive stuff for secondaries feels bad. One of the great things about Ninth, I think, is that objectives are generally in the center, so you're kind of forced to play to the middle.
Yeah.
Which forces a contest, a king of the hill, if you will. And I think that makes for good game design, because you're forced to interact. Have you gravitated towards, so you said Oath of Moment, you're going to play that. That is Marine's bread and butter. And now, with Armor of Contempt, you're a little bit more durable to go sit in the middle, so that's cool. What else did you gravitate towards?
Raised banners are pretty good to, capitalize on. The Stranglehold, I've learned, try to do Stranglehold on odd number objective missions.
5.
Right, 5 is usually the one, not the 6. And from there, what was it? I want to say it's grind them down, try and kill more than you get killed yourself.
Yeah.
So those are the ones I've pretty much been playing around with for the most part.
If you were to go back, would you play a secondary grind them down into Custodes again, or is that not worth it because you're not going to kill as many?
I don't think it would be worth it against them, only because we were pretty much trading. I'd be like, yeah, man, my army killed that squad, bro. And he'd just fly up and and that was it. A squad would just die. And I'm like, fuck. Right? It felt like I worked a lot harder to get those kills. So, but it made mine more glorious, I'll be honest. That's how it felt anyways.
And I think that's the cool thing about secondaries is that you get to see your opponent's army and then you get to pick. So if 9th edition goes back to those old Death Stars that are invisible and unkillable, you can try to play secondaries that will just not interact with that.
Yeah, best
I think
thing
that's good game design.
in Heresy was when invisibility went away. They got rid of that.
As they should.
They should have, yeah. And anyone who's watching the video part, on YouTube, if you see my mic, it's been moving around. For whatever reason, my little clamp that goes on the table just kind of broke. I just watched like my mic slowly kind of like creeping out of the picture, and I was like, oh, what the fuck's up with that? Grabbed it, and yeah, it just broke. So I'm holding it, trying to not move it around everywhere, but just, yeah, bear with me.
Now that you're a veteran of 6 games, you've mastered secondaries.
Yeah.
You're well on your way to painting. Yeah, you have decided that the Iron Imperial Fists are the way to go. Are you going to sign up for any of the up and coming tournaments around here?
Probably.
There's a few.
There are a few. Probably nothing crazy. If I get my painting all done, which it's coming along, I might be interested in doing maybe like a 1-day kind of dealy. Myself, I'm not at the skill level to spend a lot of coin for any 2-day events, and more importantly than my skill level, I don't want to be that dude, kind of fumble fucking through my codex. I don't want to be that guy for the opponents, right? Like when I play and I actually commit into these events and stuff, I try to be the player I would like to play again and again and again. And I think my personal thoughts, not having that experience with the codex yet, where I actually have to, flip back and forth, or I'm doing, the battle scribe thing. I don't want to be that guy. I want it to be very much memorized like it is for me in Heresy, and I don't even have to look at the list. I know what my stuff does. I know what the AP is. Double checking doesn't hurt, because let's be real, sometimes there's a little haze and you forget just minute shit, but for the most part, yeah, I'd want to make sure I have my codex down pat and the rules down pat before I jump in. So
that's fair. That's gentlemanly of you, because I've had to play new players at tournaments before in the past, and like maybe you don't go to time, and they're always like they got a second guess, or they're looking up an app for something every other turn, and it's like, yeah, yikes, dude, come on, like, is this the best place to be?
Yeah, and
I think.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There is. Sorry to cut you off there. There is merit for the white hot experience of the battlefield, for sure.
Sure.
Baptism by fire, if you will. But for the events when you're paying, good coin,
60, 100,
yeah,
whatever.
like any substantial, and especially there's like some podium finishes for best general and stuff like that. Like I don't want to be the guy who's holding it up for people. I want to be a contender, right? So I just figure, yeah, it's not my place. I'll come check it out. I'll watch it all day, because I learn stuff by watching the more experienced guys play. All right, even just listening to how a lot of people have been playing. There's guys who play with intent, right? So they're narrating what they're doing. My intent is I'm going to move here. I'm going to need, a 9-inch charge. You agree? Yeah. Okay. Cool. It's just that style of play is really kind of been something I've been trying to do a lot in Heresy. So I want to continue with that habit and use that in 9th as well. I just feel it makes for not only better gameplay, but less gotchas and more communicating with the opponent, right? Because you'd be like, well, I don't know, like, can you think you can do that? And you're like, well, this is my idea, my process behind it. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, that totally works, right? Like, it's just, I think it's good for everybody to kind of walk through it, right? And I don't really think it takes that much time away from your turn.
Yeah. I had a game the other, like maybe about a month ago now, where I thought I was playing by intent, but then my opponent is like, oh yeah, your wave serpent is eclipsing that piece of terrain 3 millimeters, so I'm going to shoot it. And I was like, well, like my intent was that it was behind the terrain and the terrain is obscuring. He's like, no, it's there. And I'm like, oh. And I felt real shitty about that. I was like, that is not the intention of that. So I think playing by intent is definitely the way to be it. Like, you're deep striking your guys and saying, my intent is that they're 9.000001, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go to the charge phase and like, what if they're actually 10 when they could have been 9? I mean, the optimal gameplay is to put them 9. And if buddy says, oh, you rolled a 9, that's a fail because they're a little bit further. that could have been avoided by just playing with intent.
Yeah, and that communication is so key, especially for optimal turns or phases, just even actions right within the game. I think that's a big. I think that's a big thing. People are really good at doing. I think it's just sometimes we forget because we're so caught up in the moment of rolling dice and playing.
Sure, if you set yourself up to do everything to do your action and then you don't declare it, but your intent was to declare it, as long as no game state has been changed as a result of it, I say take it.
Yeah. No,
but I guess maybe that's not the most hardcore tournament experience.
No.
We'll see. Maybe that'll change.
It's true. It's true. My biggest thing, and it's funny that this is kind of coming up, my biggest thing with events, and it always has been, is I don't want to win because you fucked up. To be like, say it straight up. I don't want to win because you made a mistake. I want to win because I'm a better general. Because I outplayed you. Right? Like,
you made better decisions.
Made
you had
better
the better list.
Made better decisions. I synergized better. I just read the tactical flow on the battlefield better. I like that. Not where like the guy moves his Land Raider out or whatever assault vehicle is equivalent for your army. You guys jump out, cool assault phase. You forget to assault that one unit. Just assault, like whatever, man. I know what you were gonna do. Like I'm not there to grease you out of. It's like, oh, you never did it. Huh, I'm gonna punish you now. No, come on, bring it on. Like there's a reason why you're assaulting. It's probably because I'm letting you, or I want you to, or something, right? Like I think with playing these types of games for long enough, you can kind of read the table quickly. And myself, I don't get in the combat unless I want to get in the combat. Unless the guy makes the Hail Mary boxcar charge. Like I'll be very careful of trying not to let myself get charged. So it's just, yeah, man, if that's what your intent was to do it. Like I'd rather win on, like I said, just kind of generalship versus gotchas. So
I like that. It's time to make a new event where the core rule is you play with intent.
Yeah.
There are a couple big events coming up around the Edmonton area. The first, hosted by Gamers Den, is called Nemesis, and that is the first week of June. I think June 10th, June 11th. There's still lots of space in that. Now they're kind of coming off a controversial finish of their old event because they were considered a little bit light on terrain. So there are some St. Albert guys that have signed up for this. I am considering signing up because their players pack promised more terrain, and they said they've learned from their last event, and I want to see if that's the case. It's $60, 2 days, so that's your standard fare for event. I'm always open to seeing people have identified a problem. Can they fix it? Let's try it out.
Yeah.
And I think my Eldar will be painted and ready to not only try to win a best painted, but a best general.
Very nice.
Following that, there is the, as they have self-called it, Edmonton's premier 40K event, Hometown 40K. This event started about just the year before COVID, maybe the year before that, held by a couple guys from the Hobby Night in Canada podcast. That podcast is no longer running, but there's like 100 and some episodes if you're an avid Warhammer podcast player that would like to listen to that. It's pretty good stuff. And their claim to fame for these events is that they're catered by local restaurants, and there's an open bar. The shtick is the event's a little pricey. It's a hundo. It's a clean hundo dollar bill, one brown bill. That's a lot of money for 5 games of Warhammer.
It is. When, like, now, myself being a event organizer and running tourneys and whatnot, when you have the caveat of there's meals and drinks involved, probably averaging, I'd say, $15 to $20 a day for a meal and, beverages. You're still only, if you break it down that way, you're still only paying $80 for 5 games, which is decent, right? Like, that seems decent to me. $15-ish per game. The prize pool, I remember reading the pack, it sounds pretty extensive, so yeah, I'm excited to see what it's like. I won't be signing up to play in it, but I'd like to go check it out. I'm always interested.
So, they have 32 players signed up or ready to sign up, and I think they almost sold out.
Mm-hmm.
And the little birdie told me that they're gonna like open up 10 more spots if it sells out.
Nice.
So, you know, with a potential prize pool of $4,200 to pay for their kegs, their food, trophies, I think that there's a lot that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm only going because other players from Edmonton said the last one was just the most amazing tournament experience it was. Now, I think my LVO ticket was less than $100 or around there. So I'm open to see if they're going to provide, you know, that level of service. I hope it is. And if that's the case, I'll go back every year.
Yeah.
$100 is a lot of money.
It is.
Well, I'll try it out.
It is. I have heard good things about previous events from some of the other players in the community. So that said, you know, if it is what they say, it sounds awesome. It really does. So
that's the gimmick, right? It has a good reputation. It's run by people who have a good experience running stuff. Tom's done a bunch of stuff for Out of the Basement. Steve is probably the most famous painter around Edmonton. I think he's won the Renaissance Award twice at the LVO.
Which is awesome.
Maybe not the most famous, because we have a couple Golden Demon winners around here. I think Tom's even won a Golden Demon. So, you know, they got a deep bench and a lot of excitement behind that. So I will play. I will let you know how that goes, and we can chat about that.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd like to just hear all about it, right? And if I can, I'd like to go check it out personally. Like it's nice to look at other events, even if you can't attend or you choose not to attend as a player. It's always good to just check out what you're missing, because the energy and the hype in these events, it's hard to describe, right? It's like legit electric atmosphere.
It's almost the reason why we do these hobbies. When you finally get to go to these events, see all the other armies, play some games, try to win something.
Yeah.
I think both of us actually played an event recently, right? You did a Titanicus event?
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Did you play or you just run?
I did play. I was running the event, but I also played as we were odd, which was nice, right? I wasn't eligible for prizes or anything, but it was just so we had odd players or even number.
Right,
of
no one's paying to get a buy kind of deal.
Exactly. I don't like that. So it was really good though. Everyone had a good time. We busted it out at Red Claw. The prizing was awesome. It was good because there was a lot of attention being thrown at our tables that we were playing. Titanicus being the game that everybody plays, or everybody has but nobody plays, or you don't really see.
The best game that nobody plays
right.
is what people describe it as.
Yeah. So there was a lot of people checking out the game itself because they've never seen Titanicus before. They've heard of it. They see boxes of it, but when you've got 8 players rolling and there's terrain on all the tables, everything, the best part of it, everything was fully painted. This was an optional requirement just because it's new. It was a fresh system. We wanted to have the opportunity for everybody to come and play, so they didn't feel like, oh, I'm not painted, I can't come. Like, everyone was included, but everyone showed up painted, which was awesome.
You think that for Titanicus they'll ever release Xenos factions?
I hope they do. They're doing it for Aeronautica, and it's the same scale. And I've heard rumors that it's all supposed to be a connected game. Like, eventually it'll be like War Thunder, where you've got Titans, you've got, you know, aircraft. It very well could roll into like a 30K epic kind of game. Like, I hope they do bring in Xeno races, even though, you know, Titanicus is strictly the Horus Heresy part of it. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and including all these other factions that you can play and opening up the player pool, like massively throwing the doors open, I think would be a lot of fun. So
if they bring Eldar into Titanicus, I'll jump in immediately. Like, release day, I'll drop 500.
Very nice. I like that.
Rules, never played it, don't care, I'll play it. That's my commitment. That's when I'll do it.
GW heard it here first. Bring it out. He'll throw $500 at you.
I mean, I'm not the only one. There's got to be other fucking nerds who do the same thing.
There'll be lots. That's like the forbidden. If they ever come out with Battlefleet Gothic in like a new plastic scale,
I'd buy it too. Yep, sign me
I'm
up.
probably getting like a line of credit. I want it all. It's gonna be gross.
Sorry, Molly.
Yeah.
We're into Battlefield Gothic now. It's over.
Yeah, it's. Are you playing or not? Right, like that's basically all you need to know.
I like that.
It's just yeah, jump in.
Yeah, you gotta hit her with one of the would you rathers. Would you rather play Battlefield Gothic or box Mike Tyson? You know.
Yeah.
Knowing her, she might box Mike Tyson.
She might actually, and she, you know what? She'd probably fare a little better.
Probably
than
fucking
me.
win.
Fare better than I would. That's for sure.
I think. Question for you: this tournament that you had ran, if you were playing it for serious, do you think you could have won a prize? Do you have the Titanicus chops?
I think if I was gonna win a prize, it probably would have been the painting one.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not bad at the game. The list that I built wasn't really meant to like kill and win. It was a very fun, like all around fluffy kind of army that can still do a lot of damage and perform well. But
Sure.
For me, I just like the atmosphere of the game. Rolling dice is good. I really like the painting aspect of it, though. I went really hard on these Legio Krytos models, and I feel like I've done them proud. So
It's funny you mentioned that because I went to the Red Claw tournament. I think was the next weekend.
full auto, I think it was.
Full auto it was called, yeah. And shout out to Red Claw because their tournament space is just incredible. For running events, you can do it cheaper there than anywhere else, right?
It's true.
You don't got to pay for hall rentals. They already have the space. They got the terrain. They got snacks and drinks. They got supplies. They have staff who can pull up a fact.
Yep.
Like, great space. And I also did not, I wasn't running it, but I did not go to try to win Best General. I brought a fluffy, exceptionally well painted Sisters list, hoping for a Best Presentation trophy. And I went 1-2. I lost my first game to my buddy Scott and his AdMech. And it was a case of like, we looked at the table deployment and their terrain was good. It was a little too far up the middle though. And I said to him after deployment, okay, we're going to roll. And if you get first turn, it's over. And he got first turn and it was pretty much over just because I wasn't able to get out of line of sight where he was able to move into line of sight. And those AdMech infantry just tore my, then non-Armor of Contempt Sisters to shreds. I won game 2 against a Necron list. Necrons are not very good. It was about an even power balance between like my fluffy painted force and his Necron melee force. And then I actually had a lot of fun playing game 3. It was a Tyranid Crusher Stampede list.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, except Daniel was playing the Herodin, which he likes to call the Hairy Dan, and it's like this fucking dragon. And then a couple other
that's the
monsters.
Forge World one, right?
Yeah, the massive thing that I'm afraid to ever assemble.
Yeah.
And that was the center of the entire fight, right? Like Celestine and the dragon duked it out. The dragon won. Some other battle sisters tried to tie the dragon up. It didn't work. He ended up winning by like 1 point, and it was one of the best games I've played in a long, long time. So I didn't end up winning Best General, but I did take home a Best Painted trophy.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with that.
Sometimes I wish there was more support for like an event somewhere where it wasn't like a generalmanship that was awarded. That wasn't the entire goal. The goal was to bring like a fluffy force and like try to win, but don't win because you brought 9 Void Weavers or like the most meta shit,
You can eliminate a lot of the gaminess if you get rid of that podium finish. So if you like, there's no Best General, you can win all your games, you can crush every opponent, but it doesn't win you a prize. It takes the wind out of a lot of people's sails. Not in a bad way, but it just, okay, well, you know what, I can play lists that I want to play, not lists that are just optimized and good. That are like cookie cutter or shitty, right? So that always has a positive impact on events, I've found. It just is nice to play that way, but it's also back and forth. It is nice to be able to flex the muscles a little bit and everyone bring out your hammer lists, right? I'm gonna swing my list as hard as I can at you, and you're doing the same thing, and immovable force and unstoppable object kind of hit together, and when it smoke settles, that's who wins, right? Those are fun too. So
yeah, I think that 3 years ago I would have disagreed with you, and I would have said that any event without a podium finish is not an event at all.
yeah,
But I'm almost craving something like that, where you can go to it and you don't have to worry about playing the most OP shit, the most meta shit. You can worry instead about having fun.
yeah.
Ultimately, all of these games, no matter what game we're playing, 40k, Titanicus, 30k, Epic, Aeronautica, is about having fun.
It is. That's the whole point of playing tabletop war games. It's about having fun, having a hobby, and it's the social aspect. I think the one thing that COVID's shown me is it's the social aspect of rolling dice with the boys and girls, but rolling dice with your boys, having laughs, and telling the war stories after, where you can have chats about it, go for beers and wings after the games. It's a lot of fun. Or while you're playing, such as like at Sega, you can have beer and wings while you play, and
the boneless ribs
that smell awesome. So if you never order them, you will order them. Just order them. Get it out of the way.
Everyone else is gonna order them.
And an hour after, you're like, well, it smells good. I'm gonna go buy my own, I guess. Right? Like, it's just it's good all around. It is good all around. So gaming is great. The hobby has been one of the best things I ever decided to do.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I think that's pretty much everything I had wanted to chat about. No, that's not true. There was one more item. Horus Heresy 2.0.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I, for the first time ever, have been eyeing up Horus Heresy. And I tried that pick your legion thing. You did the pick your legion thing, Bill. What'd you get?
I got Iron Warriors, man.
Did you not even trying to fuck with it? Is that what you got?
I was trying to get Space Wolves, but a couple of the things that I picked, I was like, this would be more me, and I ended up getting Iron Warriors, which, to my happiness, I made the right choice.
I tried this thing too, and I ended up getting White Scars. And I'm like, nah, that can't be right. And I did it again. I got White Scars again. Unfortunately, I am not going to be delving into Koshoro Khan's famous legion. But I am considering doing either Emperor's Children, or Dark Angels, or the Sons of Horus. It's the paint schemes, and I don't want to paint another black army. So like the Horus Heresy Dark Angels are black, right? They're not green.
It's true.
So I'm not really into that. But I am very strongly considering, based on what I've seen for Horus Heresy 2.0, painting up a Horus Heresy force.
Which is super exciting stuff. There's supposed to be the big drop coming later in the summer, which should be awesome. I think
those new Marines, right? Those are the scaled up. They're really true scale, right?
Yeah, they're, from what I hear, they're the same size as the new Chaos Space Marines, which compared to Firstborn is about 1/8 of an inch in difference. I have cork actually here with me, a little chunk of cork, and it's that difference basically. So if you are worried about a height issue for aesthetics, slap a little bit of cork down, some pumice, and some sand, and it'll look fine. I mixed Firstborn with my Chaos Space Marines for 9th, and you can't tell. It's very easy to cheat that. So, but the new models should be great. Emperor's Children, Dark Angels, or even Sons of Horus, all 3 legions are really good. I don't like Lionel Johnson. I think that guy's straight up a dick.
How is he a dick? What has he ever done that was bad?
We don't have enough time to go over what he's done. All right. He's just not cool. He's not a cool Primarch. His rules right now are awesome. But no. I just Yeah.
Top one moment. What makes him a dick? One thing.
So he doesn't like getting backtalked, and there is a point in the story where the Dark Angels fleet, they are in the warp. Gellerfield drops. A bunch of demons start spawning onto the ship, and the Lion's like, well, man, we gotta fight these guys. They end up finding out that the librarians can actually hurt them, kill them, deal some damage, and Lion's talking about, hey, we should start getting the librarians out, start dealing with these demons. Chaplain Nemiel is like, hey, you know, there's a edict of Nicaea. We're not allowed to use psychers, man. Like the Emperor straight up forbid psychers. So no, we can't do that. And he's like, well, we're gonna do it. And he's like, okay, well, if you do it, essentially, I'm telling. And Lion just turns around and punches his head off.
Directly off.
Right off. Like, just kills him instantly.
Like Falcon Punch.
Yeah. And he's like, all right, guys, let's use psychic powers. And it's like, but, man, like, that's not cool. You know, like, you can't be doing that. That's heretical shit.
That's not a very loyalist thing to do, I guess.
It is not. It is not. But that's just one of the things. I'm not a fan of the way he acts in the books. Like, he's still cool. Even being a Space Wolves player, right? Like, he's not the worst Primarch ever, but he's not my favorite. Right? He says he's loyal, but he does some questionable stuff.
Some weird shit. The other Legion I was interested in was the Alpha Legion.
Oh, see, and that Legion could be really good.
So I found myself staring at all Chaos Legions, right? Emperor's Children, Sons of Horus, Alpha Legion, Dark Angels, 100% devoted to the War Master.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even know how to pick them, because when I did that little test, it kept telling me White Scars.
Well, if it makes you feel better, those Legions are pretty legit. They have really good units, the fluff, the background, the lore, everything. Not to mention color scheme. You can do a lot of fun. The Dark Angels, even though they're a black army, sky's literally the limit for how you can paint them based on all these different, like, separate organizations within the Legion. So
right, and you know, I see they have like a lot of red and silver and white.
Yeah, lots of heraldry.
You're not really painting black like you are painting black, but it's. Yeah. I think I can't do it because I just finished painting like 5,000 points of Sisters of Battle.
Yeah.
And which makes me sad because the Dark Angels have some of the coolest models.
They do. I know with 2.0 there's going to be a ton of plastic models hitting the shelf. There's going to be just limitless options. I think Horus is going to be a beast. His Legion's probably going to get some really slick rules, I think. So you wouldn't go wrong with that Legion at all. Emperor's Children, I think, will also be really, really hot. Alpha Legion, they're just a cool Legion to begin with. So,
well, I encourage anyone in the comments of wherever you find this podcast to sell me on a Legion. Tell me why I should play Legion you think I should play. And I'll strongly consider it, right? If you got a good reason for why that you think that would be an army for me, send it to me. I'm in.
And while you're in the comments, if you want to let us know why Magnus was indeed wrong, please do so.
And if you'd also rather fight Richard Siegler or Mike Tyson.
That's right, yeah. Remember, you got to win to get that money.
You have to win to get that money.
So yeah.
Nothing stopping you from Mike Tysoning Richard Siegler, right?
There's a code of conduct, man. I'll get disqualified.
They have to find out about that code of conduct first, I guess.
Well, if it's the top game for $1 million, guaranteed they're gonna have like the rope around that table with like 5 cameras watching what we do.
Well, then jump off the top rope and hit him with Stone Cold Stunner.
You're getting caught no matter what. So I don't know.
Did Mike Tyson get caught when he bit off Buddy's ear? Actually, he did. That's a bad example.
He did. Although that put the fear into him. But yeah, anyways.
I think that's about wrapping us up,
For sure. So thank you again, Arthur, for jumping on with us. It's always good to talk some sweet 40K, and there'll be much more coming in the future. Talk more about events and everything as they start coming up. And yeah, we'll have all the links in the description. So if you want to check out some of these pages and some of the events, just check it out in the description below.
All right, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Catch ya.
Trident Wargaming. Build it, paint it, play it.